after speaking affirmations over yourself. The more you hear it, the more you believe that it's true.
And welcome to Premier Fitness. I'm Gene Williams, your yoga instructor, and I'm here to tell you about the benefits of yoga.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. You have just tuned in to Where is the Love? I am your host. I am Stephanie Hawkenhall. Joining me is my co-host, my son, Gene Williams.
Good day, mate. Top of the morning to you.
Oh, your thing is, I hear static. I might have to fix mine. Don't worry about it. I might have to fix my end. Um, Again, thank you for joining us. Today on our shows, we have been talking about adult bullying. And son, tell them how they can, while I fix my mic, tell them how the places that they can watch us.
All right. I know for sure PODTV, / is it LIVE?
Yes.
All right. Amazon Fire, Roku. You can also check us out on
You
Love
still
Misunderstood Institute. Me?
okay?
Love Misunderstood Institute
Yes.
on YouTube and Premier Fitness 0210 on YouTube. Did I hit them all?
Yes.
No? Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
So
Amazon Fire. Did I say Amazon Fire?
Amazon Fire and Roku.
Gotcha. Okay.
And those are what you said, PODTV space LIVE, and you can watch us live on TV. If you want to comment and join in on the conversation, join us on our YouTube channels and comment. We can see your comments and we can conversate with you. We have been tackling the subject of adult bullying. Why? Because so many adults say that they don't bully. And we have been bringing guests on our show to share their stories about their bullying experiences as children and as adults. So we have a guest today. You want to add anything before we bring on our guest?
No, we just have a great show and very informative show coming up for you. So I'm looking forward to this one.
So I am going to introduce our guest to you. Our guest is Kenitra Moselle. Grace for This is her business, and she'll introduce herself and tell you more about her as she comes to the stage. Come on now, Kenitra.
Hey,
Hey,
we gonna talk about it. Yeah. Hey, y'all.
Hey, girl.
What's good, y'all? Thank y'all for having me. I'm so excited to be on with y'all. I'm excited for the conversations that need to be had.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And so am I. So, Kenitra, tell us about yourself. Tell us, about you, and then tell us, a little bit about your business to get the conversation started so they know who they're listening to.
Excellent. So I will start by saying, again, thank you for having me. And I'm a lady on a mission.
All right.
I am impacting the world so that we can grieve, we can heal,
absolutely,
and we can build. I'm going to say it again. I'm on a mission to help us all grieve, heal, and build. And so I'm on this mission because I was introduced to widowhood at the age of 36. I know I only look 22. However, grief was the catalyst. Grief was the catalyst for my wellness journey. And so I began to lean into doing the wellness work. I started therapy. I started journaling. I had a grief coach. And it was a beautiful roller coaster of all of the right things to see the person who's sitting before you today. And so you see Grace for This behind me. You see Grace for This on the merch because out of my journey, was birthed Grace for This. And so I started a community for women, especially for women of faith, because we've been in the church so long. My God, we don't know how to take care of the human in us because our spirit is just so all of the things, which it is, but it doesn't negate the fact that we're spirit, soul, and body. And
Right.
Right.
we
Well,
focus on wellness work personally, relationally, and for professionally. So you can find me on YouTube every single Wednesday at 12 o'clock because it's Wellness Work Wednesday. So I'm excited
Yeah.
to share more with you all during the conversation today.
And tell them
Awesome.
your YouTube channel so they can go to your YouTube channel.
If you type in Grace for This, you're going to see something with a flower or something pretty. You can type in Grace for This. The handle is actually at Kingdom Advocate because I'm about all things kingdom and community. So you can look in Kingdom Advocate, but if you put in Grace for This, baby, you're going to see content and videos for days.
That's
Nice.
awesome. And it's exciting that you were able to find, well, let me just say this first. Many people, when things happen in their lives, they tend to stay stuck. And I was, that way for many years with this, concerning the subject of bullying. I didn't even know what I was experiencing as an adult. I didn't know that it was bullying. So the thing is, when we realize our pain, one of the things that I came to understand is that, okay, this is a pain that you're experiencing, or this is the thing that has happened in your life. Do you want to stay here? This is how you're feeling about this thing. Do you want to stay here or do you want to move forward? And so in moving forward, you don't know, you're walking by faith. You have no idea what's ahead of you or, and taking those steps, but you just know that you don't want to be where you are no more. You've made a choice. This is not what I want. This is not what I want to keep experiencing. So even though you became a widow at such a young age, death is not something that we plan or that we know when it's going to happen. But the thing is, it happened to you and you grieved for a while, I'm sure. And then you got to a point, and I call it a fork in the road. You got to a point where you're like, okay, this is how I feel. Do I want to stay here or do I want to move forward? And like I said, in moving forward, you're walking by faith and you have no idea what that road looks like, but you just know you don't want to keep the road you're on. So it's great that you chose healing. And then as a result of you choosing healing, I mean, look at the many lives you have, your business, and look at the many lives that you've helped move forward and not stay stuck no more. So talk to us about that.
Oh my gosh. So you said so many things and I'm like, how I respond to that. I want to speak to that fork in the road first. I had the opportunity to speak in Bennettsville, South Carolina yesterday. And
Nice.
the title of that message that I was able to share was, I might be grieved, but I'm not in a grave.
Amen.
And that fork in the road, my goodness, that fork in the road is such a real place.
Yes.
It's such a real place. And in grief, you might get to that fork sooner or later, but when you arrive to it, it's truly a tug of war of choosing alignment or allegiance.
Yes.
You can choose allegiance to the thing that hurt you, that wounded you.
Right.
You can choose allegiance to the pain, or you can align yourself with the purpose that's supposed to come out of it.
Yeah.
And so I knew I was the strong friend. All right, Jean, look, I knew I was the strong friend. I knew I had the capacity to deal with painful things for extended periods of time, and nobody know it because I know how to wear it.
Yeah.
And I said, this is not the moment for the strong friend to shine. Because if you play that game with yourself, you will put yourself in a grave, sis. And I just said, okay, I'm going to lean into it, but it still took time because I had to do some unlearning. And I will say that's that fork in the road led me down a pathway. And something I say in my community is we're growing through grief. We're archiving the healing journey. And then you build what helped you heal. And that's what I did. I leaned into the grief. I finally started journaling. So I have journals. And then what I walked through, I put it in the book.
Wow.
There you
devotional
go.
called Grace for This, a 21-day journey for women growing through grief. And
Yeah.
we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do at the fork in the road. We just know
Right.
we have to make a decision. And
Yes.
so now I'm excited to share some direction to going down that fork in the road. That's the
Yes.
better way
Yeah.
to go. And sometimes you turn back to the right, but we
Yes.
can get back left, you
Yep.
know? Or
Yep.
sometimes you go left. Let's get you back right. We'll do it that way.
There we go.
I like that.
Yeah.
So
And
share some Jean, you want to ask her something?
yeah, well, I was gonna say I love the credo of your company, grieve. And the first part of grieving is to acknowledge that you're experiencing something that's you are something that we said in the conversation we had Thursday, I believe it was, that you have to not only grieve the situation but grieve who you were then. Can you touch on that a little more?
Oh my gosh. You know what? That really kind of rolls into um some of what I was thinking about around the conversation of bullying. Because
Mm,
when you have been in an experience where somebody has mistreated you and you allowed their mistreatment,
right,
you can take aim at yourself for your allowance of the treatment. And you can
right,
turn on your own self and begin bullying yourself and saying, I can't believe
right,
you did that. And
Yes.
right,
I'm sitting with some things now because in my widowhood journey and my grief journey, people got passes they normally wouldn't get from me.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting with, okay, yeah, and I'm experiencing the stages of grief because of
right,
bullying I allowed inside of spaces where I had a void that people. Now here go your plot twist. They didn't know they were doing it because it was normal for them. This was your
Yeah.
nurture for
right.
you. You've been this way your whole life, so you don't
Yeah.
know you unless I open my mouth and tell you the way you just treated me. We can't do
Yeah.
that
Was
because it makes
wrong.
you feel a certain way. That's the plot twist. When you
Mhm.
get bullied by somebody who don't know they're a bully, and the bully continues because you didn't open your mouth.
Right.
There you go. Say that. That's a big thing right there. That's
Plot
a big
twist.
thing.
It
Yeah.
is. And listen,
Reverse,
I have
reverse.
to I have to I have to speak from the other end where, people aren't saying anything because I was in that place. Jean was in that place. You know, sometimes we just don't have the courage to speak up. And that's
Mhm.
what we lacked. We lacked courage because we wanted, that person or those people to like us. So
Right,
because of that, we became people pleasers. So sometimes you just don't, the person, I mean, you say, okay, you bullying me. Maybe you don't know, or I'm gonna let you get by with that. I'm not gonna say nothing. Sometimes it's because you lack courage
Mm-hmm.
not to say anything.
Right.
You just don't have the ability to because of where your mind is, and in that case, your mind is, I want you to like me. So if I don't check you,
yeah.
then maybe you'll
Might be
That's
lingering.
true. I
right.
Roll color glasses.
Yeah.
I'll say that I have been sitting in that place. It is familiar to me because sometimes we take ownership of our own faults, right? And
Yes.
so because we
Mhm.
take ownership of what we
Yeah, cool.
don't do well, we will excuse somebody else's mistreatment of us because of our own mistakes. And
Yes.
that's not correct.
Mhm.
You don't make yourself a
Right,
victim and a martyr because of your humanity, but that doesn't
right,
mean somebody else's has humanity to plague yours.
Yeah.
right. There you go. There
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
go.
it is challenging to navigate that, to sit with it because you've hurt yourself because you didn't protect yourself, right?
Yeah.
It
Right.
was nobody else's responsibility to protect you more than
But
you,
you.
Yeah.
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, yeah.
With the different types of bullies, when I shared that with Gene, I'm sorry. When I shared that with Gene, he eventually told me, there's a self bully too. You can bully yourself, self bully. And I was
Oh yeah.
like, what? And
Rude.
then I looked it
Yep.
up and I was like, wow, I didn't know.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
And
often
been there.
and
go ahead.
oftentimes because of the fact that we take on other people's perspective of us, and then we recycle it over and over again in our head. We become our worst critic. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a whole cliche about that, you know. And it's not only because we allow, so it's like we blame ourselves for allowing the person to do what they did to us. And then we, in essence, co sign it by saying, well, but, I feel like I deserve this for whatever reason, you know.
Yeah.
And it is, again, like you said before, it's like you have to acknowledge the fact that this is what you did, grieve who you were at that time, own the situation. That's the big thing. A lot of us, we don't own our grief, our pain, and our faults. And also, we don't embrace our greatness. So it's
Mm.
like a lot of the aspects of us we have to acknowledge, especially when you're going through a situation where a person is misusing you, treating you like you're not, like you're less than you are, like they're equal. Um, you know, then it's don't beat, like you said, don't beat yourself up about it, but you definitely have to own it and do the work to never be in that position again.
Hmm. Yeah, I think something, I'll add something in real quick. I think something that I have become more aware of is my level of care. And when you are in an environment or relationship where you know that person, you know their story, you know their background, you know who mistreated them. And so you can
Right,
begin to rehearse their bad experiences in parallel
right,
to your mistakes with them. And then you make yourself the villain in your story and liken yourself to somebody else who
right,
did something. More than likely, it could have been with intent, it could have been not intent. But you know, when you rock with your people, anybody who comes for one of your friends, your whole squad pulls up. But what happens when
right.
you position yourself to be the villain and you feel like the squad needs to pull up on you?
Yeah.
Mm, mm.
That's
Woo!
good.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
How
yes,
do you
yes,
how
yes.
do you recover? How do you recover from that? Because that thing hits
Right,
you in your heart because you know what it
right.
felt like when you were upset with the person who caused the offense to
Yeah.
somebody you cared about. What
Mm,
happens when you are the one who has caused the greater offense to the
Yeah.
person you care
right,
about because of your proximity to that person? You
right,
begin to
Wow.
bully your own self, and
right,
you
Yeah.
give that person permission to not treat you how you need to be treated because you're still managing the fact that you were human.
Yeah.
right,
Nobody needs to
right,
be on. Nobody should be on the pedestal.
right.
That's
Right.
and you just asking for.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Understand that we all are flawed, and that's the fortunate and unfortunate side because from your weaknesses, once you begin to strengthen your weaknesses, you grow a better, higher vibrational version of yourself. And that's just the beauty of being, like you said, a human. The evolution. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're supposed to be constantly in the state of perfecting,
Yeah.
growing, evolution. It's not. It never gets to a stationary point where okay, I'm here. I've arrived. No, it's never there. You're never there. There's always growth to be made. Even incrementally.
Yeah. So, Kanitra, when you while you were going through your grief, I know that you said a little bit ago that, some people you let get away with, okay, I'm gonna let you get away with that. How was there a time, can you think of a time where you actually did speak up and you did create boundaries or a boundary, with somebody that was bullying you? Maybe not that same person, but you like, okay, I let it slide, from that person, you know, um, but I see what's going on and I'm not going to let this keep happening to me. So,
Mm.
was there a time when you were able to speak up and to create a boundary, um, with a person that, was bullying you and took advantage of, the situation while she's grieving? And even they may not have been able to see themselves doing it or not, but, how did you experience that and how did you respond to it?
That was really a challenging experience. I love that we're talking about the evolution. The E in the grace back there stands for evolve. It's grieve, rest,
Hey,
aid, community, and evolve. And when you go through your grace journey, you'll evolve into the next best version of yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe the experience that was illuminated the most for me when I finally decided to get language for what my experience was, and when I had enough
Mm-hmm.
courage to
Yeah.
say something.
Yeah.
um, the emotions, it was a very emotional moment for me.
Right.
And your emotions are communicating to you. I realized
Yes.
how hurt I was.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
you are angry.
Mm-hmm.
You are grieving the status of the relationship in itself,
Yeah.
because it has changed, it has evolved, and whether it's somebody who's familiar to you or whether it is somebody who you do not know, there we have a relationship with everybody we encounter. They are either
Yeah.
a stranger. There's boundaries there. There's boundaries for an acquaintance relationship. There's
Right.
boundaries for an intimate relationship. There are boundaries that we set for all of them. And so when I began to exercise some language around that, I had such big emotions around it that it notified me that I had been wounded and I had
Mm-hmm.
capped it. I had tucked it away somewhere. I had excused it. And the C is for community. And what I talk
Mm-hmm.
to the sisters in my community about is, after you rest from the grief that you're experiencing, you begin to have clarity. You
Yeah.
have
Mm-hmm.
clarity about your capacity. And when you begin to exercise language and boundaries with people who have not functioned appropriately according to who you are in the season you're in, because you're gonna change again. Come
Yeah.
on
Right.
here.
Yeah.
Um, you discover who your community is.
Yeah.
And if people cannot respond well to what your new boundaries are, if they don't respond well to what you're communicating, then you understand that your community has changed and you have to make other adjustments other than setting
Right.
boundaries.
That's
So it was
awesome.
introduction to the next level, to the next boundary, to what my lifestyle is going to look like. How do I choose people who I'm keeping close to me? Because I realize that when people cross this specific boundary in this specific way, it induces this specific response. And so I have to induce this
Right.
specific change.
Yeah.
So it introduced me to so much, but it introduced me to myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, all of that.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
I'm
I love the
smiling
way you
so
broke that
hard
down.
because
Yeah.
go ahead, Jean.
No, I just said I love the way you just broke that down. I love
Right.
it. That was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is so huge to me right now. And I'm so excited about my life right now because things are happening to me that I'm just saying I'm walking in faith in a lot of areas in my life. So it's newness. But to be able the what has come alive in me is acknowledging, okay, I'm feeling this way. Okay, I see I'm sad, or I realize I'm sad. So I'm acknowledge I'm sad. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm not.
Right.
But do I want to stay here?
Right.
And
And that's
so
the power.
I have that choice. I
Yeah.
don't want to be sad. So I just start like I'm talking right now. I am happy. I am joyful. I am peaceful. Girl, listen, this has changed my life. I was telling my brother and his girlfriend were in town today and they took me to lunch. And so I was telling them this, and I was just telling Jean yesterday. But the more I tell this, the more I see the new me.
There you
Yes. Dun, 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 dun.
go.
Yes.
I got a new strength, a new superpower that I never had. You know,
Mhm.
Mhm.
that I ain't gonna say that I never had, but that I never knew about.
Realize you had. Right.
I never knew about this. And I've heard about, affirmations and say affirmations and all of this, but the key piece is what I said. You know, this is how I'm feeling. Okay. So I'm going to say I'm sad. I'm going to acknowledge, I'm going to confess that I'm sad,
Mhm.
but I'm not staying here. And then so I just start saying, I am this, I am that. And then as I say it aloud, like I'm doing now, the more I say I am or I have, the stronger I get. I'm like, man, I've been needing this all my life, but
Yes.
the
Yeah.
time is now.
It's a party.
Yes,
Right.
It's the coming out party. It's a
Right.
yes.
coming out party.
Exactly.
Hello, my name is Stephanie. Nice to meet you. You have met me before. I'm
Before.
here.
Right.
Exactly. Right.
This is me.
Right.
That's it.
And
That's it.
I do want to add a tail end to that. So I love, like you're saying, I am, and you're activating the divine within when you
Right.
say I am. So
Yes.
we have to be very cognizant and very careful and judicious about how we use I am terms. Because a lot of times we use it for the other side. You know, we say things that are demeaning and denigrating to ourselves. So we have to be very cognizant of the terms that we use behind I am, because there's power in I am. We are reflections of the source. So everything that we say becomes a reality,
That's right.
regardless if you're cognizant of that or not. That's just a fact of reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing is with the I, acknowledging the sadness. I am sad. Okay,
Right,
so I'm gonna say I am sad, but I am gonna say so many I ams and I haves after that that it's
right,
gonna just knock that out the water because that or out my space because that's what's been
right,
happening.
right,
So being truthful about where you are and
right,
then saying, but that ain't it. And then
right,
the more you say I am, or I am successful, I am prosperous, I am beautiful, I am, whatever. The more you
right,
say that, if you say 10 or 20 of them to that one I am not,
Mm.
or I am and the negative thing after it, it blows that neck. This is what I have witnessed for the
right,
last couple weeks. And so that one negative thing that I acknowledge that this is a real thing, this is how I'm really feeling, that don't mean nothing, you
right,
know, because of the 10 to 20, plus I ams that I
right,
said, the more I said it,
The
it
more you
just,
right,
believed it.
yes,
right,
yes,
We rehearse.
absolutely.
We
Yes,
right.
rehearse. We rehearse narratives, whether they're
yes,
negative
Yeah,
or positive. One of my favorite
right.
scriptures talks about life and death being in the power of the tongue, and you
yes,
will
Mm,
eat the fruit of that which you speak. So, what is it that you are rehearsing?
yeah,
right.
And
Yes.
anything
yeah,
you say, you thought it first.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yes. Yep.
yeah.
And also,
Whew.
I wanted to add an addendum to what you said. So, in situations like you said, when you can say I feel, because feelings are transitory, they're temporary. You dig what I'm saying? But I am is who you are at the core of your being. You dig what I'm saying? So I feel sad. You know, that's temporary. You'll go through that transition and you'll come to another level of it. But I am powerful, I am beautiful, I am intelligent, I am. But the feelings that are, negative, those are feelings that are transitory. And it's like if we differentiate that, say I am the great things, I feel, the things that are negative or low vibrational, then the I am, like you said, they build you up. I mean, it's still the same thing.
Yeah,
Mm,
It's just another term, just another
yeah.
term to help consciously create your reality.
Consciously create. I like that. Consciously create. Yeah, that's good. Like truth, and the fact is, I feel this way. The truth is, I
right,
am what my creator
exactly,
says about me.
There you
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
And
right.
y'all just got that in 3 different languages. If you ain't get it yet, you need
Did you hear me?
to. Yeah.
hey, I just saw, looked at some of Mark's comments. Hey, Mark, she is not from South Carolina, but she was in South Carolina yesterday. She's from
Right.
Georgia. So, and another thing, he asked about bullying at funerals. Have you, did you have
Oh God.
experience with that?
You know what? I have not, but I immediately begin to see pictures from Facebook and YouTube where people have acted an absolute fool at funerals.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Grief and death brings out the worst in people because they don't have wellness skills. And
Yeah.
so
Right.
people are volleying for the attention of the masses when
Right.
somebody dies,
Yeah.
because you have a collective group of people all in one place, and somebody who needs the attention, somebody who
Hmm.
needs to be heard, or somebody who is so insecure that they have to make a spectacle of themselves. Those people try to shine really big and bright during times of a homegoing. We say home, we don't say funeral, we don't say the
Yeah.
funeral.
Right.
If I
Yeah.
say funeral, I'm
Homegrown.
joking.
Right.
Homegoing celebrations.
All right,
It's
my
a
dear.
celebration of life, right? I know that something that is challenging to navigate is who's making decisions about what.
Yeah.
And you have to sit with yourself about who who can make a decision and what decision you can let go of. I had a situation where we were planning my husband's homegoing, and my mother-in-law wanted to do something a specific way. And I said, a specific thing. And I realized that it got swayed back the other way. And I said, Kenitra, that's your whole husband, baby. Nobody trumps you. Let her have it. That is her son.
Yeah.
Allow her to have it.
Yeah.
And you have to be good with yourself to give somebody that in a moment where
Yeah.
you're just as sensitive as the other
Right.
person who's volleying
Right.
for a thing that they need. And in
Right.
that moment, I yielded
Yeah.
because she needed it and I had it to
Yeah.
give,
Right.
That's beautiful.
you
That
know?
that is.
Yeah. Yeah. So and that was before I started on the wellness work journey. But I realized I don't have to go back and forth with you because we both are unique people in this situation. He ain't had but one mama, he ain't had but one wife.
Right. That's
Yeah.
So it
good.
ain't it ain't a competition.
Right.
Right.
There you
But you
go.
gotta be
Right.
good with yourself. You gotta be clear on who you are. Cause if you're not, and then you check into the game. That shouldn't even be a game because they
Yeah.
ain't
Right.
playing, you know. Yeah. So it is challenging. It is very challenging because you have to navigate so many people's level of awareness and
Yeah.
wellness
Right.
all at the same time. It's very complicated.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the funeral what did the funeral
Director.
coordinator. My husband's first cousin, their family. Shout out to the Thorn. I'm calling out names. Shout out to the Thorntons. They did a magnificent job making sure that Gerald C. Mason's funeral arrangements were amazing. I have never had an experience as phenomenal as
That's
y'all see me.
awesome.
Thornton Mortuary in Atlanta takes good care of you.
Awesome.
I'm what you call that? What they call? I'm high maintenance. I was high maintenance for this homegoing service too. Okay. So I just when you have a mortuary team or service that are delivering hospitality and love in that space, they know how to navigate the social work that your family hadn't doing.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Man.
have
They need degrees in this. Yeah.
I have a uh little plaque in my bathroom that says you say high maintenance like it's a bad thing.
That's good. I like it.
I'm like, what? What's wrong with it?
That's right.
I want what I want.
Good.
Right.
You can just set your expectations. You already know what's up.
Right.
Mhm.
What's
Right. There we
up?
go. What it is, girl. What's
Yeah,
up?
thank you, Jay. You know what I was saying.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, Kanitra, we have covered. Go ahead, Jean.
well, so we were talking about earlier grace for this,
Mhm.
and I love like the tag events with purpose.
Oh,
Like yeah, you mind going a little deeper into that because I definitely want the people to know what you do uh, as a event curator.
okay, awesome. So great question. I am a mixture of a nurse and a planner. I'm a registered nurse. I got a master's degree in leadership and management in nursing. I worked at the bedside for 6 years, and I worked in data analysis and information and outcomes for 8, 9 years. But on the side, I was building an event planning business. I've always been really
Mhm.
skillful about that, and so um, in grief being the catalyst for the wellness work, I realized that there's a lack of trauma informed care inside of event planning. Catch that. We plan events, we plan conferences, you plan weddings, you plan retreats, you plan all of these different things. However, based on who your target audience is, are you really considering the barriers and the challenges that they're experiencing to even come to your event? How are you going to attract the person that you're truly called to impact? And do you even know who that person is? Right? I do coaching and consulting as well. Because I'm really passionate about how we show up as leaders and visionaries inside of building and curating the experience that's going to attract the people who we know we're called to. You can have the best speech in the world, but if the arena is empty, how is it impacting the people? And I'm super passionate about planning for impact. I am helping leaders and visionaries to build a hospitality that heals and then plan for impact. Your hospitality has to be what it needs to be according to who you're called to serve. And a lot of times we don't navigate that well because the vision is so big in our head. We're just trying to be compliant. We're trying to execute. We're trying to do all of the things, but how are you actually caring for the people who you're called to? So I'm very passionate about that. And I honestly, I had to really step away from the event planning because I had to put everything that I had into building Grace for This. Our events are amazing. Like, I am floored by how our events happen because I don't just put things together. I really sit and I listen, I pray and I ask God, like, okay, what's going on? What do they need? And he shows me because I'm building what helped me heal. Kenitra, what did you need? What offended you? What conversations didn't go well? What did somebody say that triggered you the wrong way? How do you need to say it? How do you package this verbiage? What have you done that negatively impacted somebody? And how do you adjust that in what you build so you don't recreate that same bad experience? Right? And so I'm passionate about replacing old bad memories with new memories intentionally for people. So all of 2023 has been that inside of Grace for This. We do a wellness work summit, which I'll share more about. We've got one March the 30th, Augusta, Georgia. It's hybrid. I'm excited about it. We do a Ready, Set, Network event because a lot of us are called to entrepreneurship and starting businesses, but we can't do it well because we still grieving. And we haven't leaned into our own grief journey. We do a conference that is kind of a scaling of the women who are in entrepreneurship and leadership. And so we have a Grace for This conference. There is so many things happening inside of the Grace for This space. And God has afforded me the opportunity to use it as a model on how we need to build events that are about community, conversation, and collaboration. So thank you for asking me that because that's my sweet spot. You see, I got excited. Okay,
And well, you should. You're doing great work, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful how you are again passionate and also very methodical and detailed about how you execute. Because that's a big thing. And like you said, hospitality is huge with events because often, I mean, no situation is perfect, but when you have a hospitality team or a ethos of courtesy and customer service with your execution, then it makes people want to come back. It's like, well, that wasn't perfect, but everything else was flying. It was so nice, and and it draws people back to you. Like, hey, that was family. I felt at home. Hey, Ebony.
What's up, Coach Eb in the comments? Yeah, that was good. I appreciate the ethos. Need to be putting in my journal.
You're a mess. Mark said there's a couple people watching. Terry Bird, a holistic person, is watching, and then also Toys on Ninth is watching on Instagram. So shout out to y'all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. Thanks, Ed, for being out here, girl.
Go Ted. It's morning.
And Mark said, told you Kenitra is trying to audition for Usher in an hour.
He's not lying. He's not lying. Y'all missed it back behind the scenes was real.
You make me wanna
Yeah. Mm-mm, mm-mm. We count down to
Mm-mm,
halftime. We
mm-mm.
just count
Right.
down. That is all.
I
Yeah.
say yes. Yeah.
Take you back to
There you
undergrad.
go.
Get in
Yeah,
trouble.
and I
Right.
messed up. Now I gotta set my mic. I was doing too much.
Look at you. Calm down, Steph. You out here
Right,
flexing
right.
all your new
Keep your
muscles.
hands to yourself.
You gotta learn how to use all those new muscles.
I don't do my hands.
Oh, that's so
She
good.
did it again. She did it again. All right. So actually, I wanted to ask you about Wellness Work Summit and the events that you host on YouTube. Oh yes. Oh yes. We're gonna talk about it all. Come on
Getting into it.
now.
Gene getting into it, right? I'll try to stay as calm as I can. So, like I said earlier, every Wednesday on my YouTube channel, we do a wellness work Wednesday because I'm committed to having that conversation in a digestible manner. Wellness work is hard. I'll tell you this. This is a 21 day devotional. Y'all see how little it is?
Right.
You need all them 21 days and some.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
you can't rush through this. And the level of honesty that it takes to do wellness work, you have to pace yourself. I'm
Mm-hmm.
also a recovering workaholic, okay? So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my patterns are set like a work week, and you take the weekend off. And so in my book, we go through the GRACE journey, Monday through Friday. We take the week off and we jump back in. And so when I do the wellness work Wednesday on once a week, it's like our therapy check-in. All right, let's focus on our 3 points today. What are we going to talk about? Let's have an actual focal point. I love a meeting and an agenda. I thrive in environments like that. That is who I am. But when we're choosing to
Love it.
sit with ourselves and do the hard work, you need an agenda.
Yeah.
Why? Because your emotions are going to try to take you everywhere, including denial and avoidance.
Yep.
And you need some structure that keeps you focused on the goal, which is to get better, which is to grow through your grief, which is to take
There you
ownership
go.
of your wellness journey. And
Yeah.
that is our focus when we do that Wellness Work Wednesday, taking ownership of your wellness journey personally, relationally, and professionally. So there's a pathway. I have pathways in everything. There's a model.
There you go.
When
Love
I
it.
coach people, I help them find their model in their healing journey so they can help other people build what help them heal. So I'm telling y'all, come meet me. Type Grace for this in on YouTube. I promise you I'll pop up. It'll probably be green because we just did a 21-day challenge live and we went through the devotional together as a community.
Love it.
Amazing experience.
Yeah.
Amazing. If you are looking for a safe place, a safe space to walk through some stuff, get this book on Amazon and go to my YouTube channel. It'll be like I'm just sitting there working through it with you every day for 30 minutes, 30 quick minutes, like your first cousin. I promise you, it'll be a beautiful experience. Beautiful experience. So that's
Your
a
first
good one.
cousin, your best friend.
Yeah, yeah. And then the wellness work summit.
Right.
So if you go to my YouTube channel, the last video was a party because we celebrate wins. Honey, we gotta celebrate ourselves. We do not look at Gene, y'all. He couldn't have. We don't celebrate ourselves. So at the end of every week is Wellness Wednesday. And anytime something happens, I've had to teach myself to pause and celebrate and sit in the moment. Because I like to,
Yep.
yeah, I know I'm a planner. So I plan my own
Right.
celebrations, but are you
Wow.
actually sitting in the moment to rest in what you
Right.
completed? And so
Right.
I'm learning that simultaneously and celebrating the wins and teaching that to our community as well. So we dropped the
Awesome.
date for the Wellness Work Summit. I am excited. It is on
Yeah.
March the 30th, and I'll tell you that growing through grief is a movement. The inception, at its inception, all of this was born because I decided to grow through the grief. And inside of everything that's happening inside of Grace for this, I understand that growing through grief is not just for the sisters, it's for the brothers too, it's for the men too. We have to teach our
Everybody. Yeah.
children, our sons and our daughters need to know
Yep.
how to manage the grief they experience. And I actually have an interview tomorrow. We're going to talk about it from the kids' perspective. And
Wow.
the growing through grief journey, it's a movement. And so our
Right.
mission is to initiate conversations like the one we're having today that acknowledge we need to do the wellness work. Secondly, we want to connect people in the community with resources that's going to
Mm-hmm.
help them with their wellness routines. And then thirdly,
Right.
we want to get people to commit to creating their own personal wellness regimen. You
Love
need
it.
your own routine for you. You can't look at what I do and think it's gonna work for you.
Right.
All
Right.
different kind of
Right.
Right.
species,
Right.
baby, ain't but one me.
Right.
You
There
need
you go.
what's going to work for you. And
For
so
Yeah.
inside
you.
of the
Yeah.
Growing Through Grief movement, that is what our mission is, to have the conversation, to connect you to the resources and get you to commit to what you need for your wellness regimen. So we're going to have that conversation. We're pulling in the brothers on this one.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
it's grace and grit. Okay, baby.
Yeah.
It's
That was
grace
a nice
and
question.
grit. Why? Because the grit works, it works both ways. Whether you are a man or whether you are a woman, it's gritty to own the grief.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna get to the grace without the grit. So let's have this conversation, and we pulling the brothers into the room and having a conversation with us. So I'm excited about the collaboration that's happening. Like I said, it's hybrid. You can go to graceforthis.net and you can check on how to partner with the movement. You'll get the information, you'll get the details, you'll get the link to stream it, and you can sew into it. You can read it by getting the book. You can fund it by buying some merchandise. What did I say? You can wear it by buying some merchandise. So you can
Yeah.
fund it by partnering with the movement. So I'm super excited about what we're doing inside of the I call it a GTG movement. Okay.
So tell the people about the grit. Tell as much as you want to tell about the grit so people understand
Yeah.
about
Oh my
the
gosh. So the part of the look, there's so many things about the grit that are important. I will say that the first thing that I realized for me is that I am who I am, and I am as well as I am right now because I had some strong men in my life. I'm talking about more than my biological daddy and my biological brother.
yeah,
I'm talking about I got some brothers in my life who love me like they sister and sat with me and listened to me and were present with me as I navigated some challenging things with experiencing the void of your spouse.
yeah,
Like, golly, do you, let's consider this. Do you think I wanted to fill my voids in some other ways?
yeah,
Isn't it reasonable for you to try to fill a void with something
yeah,
because the thing that you had was so big, like this spot is
yeah,
big and something needs to fit here.
right.
Thank you, Jesus. They help me not plug into wrong and unhealthy places. So
That's awesome.
the grit is for the men in your life who hold you down and keep you safe when you're not safe for your own self.
Yeah,
That
that's
part.
awesome.
That part. The grit is for the men who are doing the wellness work, but it don't look pretty like we make it.
Yeah,
We as women, we
yeah,
can beautify anything.
yeah,
What? We are gifted to do that, right? But the men are different. Men
yeah,
are different. So I'm excited to create an experience where the men will come in and have a conversation. Y'all, my YouTube channel gonna be lit all March long. It's March Madness. Why? Because the men are coming to the channel and they have permission to express themselves. And you're gonna sit and you're gonna listen and you're gonna appreciate and you're gonna learn and you're gonna apply it for the men in your life. Try me if you want to. Let me find out. Okay.
She got a paddle and she smacked it on the head.
What if if you're growing through the grief, it's empowering you to evolve. You can't be the same old version, messy version of yourself if you're truly evolving. If I'm going
Right.
through a grace journey, then my brother can go through a grace journey too, and I'm gonna make room for him. And that's what
Yeah.
Grace and Grit is doing. It is making room. It is making room for them. The last thing I'll say about this, and I ain't gonna go in because we about got like 10 minutes left. Okay. I'm gonna keep it about 1:30. My husband and my father were rebranding the men's ministry at our church, and the name of it was True Grit. They
Mm.
hadn't even been doing it for a year yet when he passed away. And I sit and I think about the work that he did before I even realized that I was graced for this journey. The grit came first. The grit paved
Mm.
the way for the grace. So it's gonna
Mm.
always be some grace and grit. It's about to be a whole situation, sugar. It's about to be a whole situation, and I'm glad to be making room for my brothers.
yeah,
Like I am. I'm gonna say
Immediate. Thank you for that.
I
Thank
am
you.
not
Thank
about
you.
I am not about the toxic version of women empowerment. If it's going to devalue another person, if it's going to
Yeah.
dehumanize somebody else, I'm not subscribing to that. So that is not what Grace for This is. It is about creating a safe place for women to own their wellness. But growing through grief, that's for everybody, baby. We
Yep.
all need it. So I'm so glad to introduce my brothers into that space and create room for them to have permission as well.
Yeah.
That's
That's
good.
that's great, and it's very much needed. I
Absolutely.
learned about grief working for hospice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I worked for hospice for 5 years at one company and for 1 year at another company. And I didn't know the things about grief that I knew about, or, things concerning death, what was coming, the steps that were coming. And then I can't remember who, but the denial, I'm hearing that I have, those steps. I can't remember what they're called, but, I hear this news. What is it called?
DABD, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
Thank you. And so I learned that as well, and that helped me to understand, what people were experiencing with, the family members that were going away, and then what they were experiencing themselves as a result of hearing, they had some, uh, I don't want to use the word deadly, but some, something that was incurable,
Mm,
for them. And so being able to talk to you, about grief, and then, combining that with the bullying, is big, you know. I mean, it's just another way to look at it, because we do experience grief, when there's loss. It could be a job, or, anything, not just a person, but, we do experience grief as a result of, you know, letting something go. So, Jean, did you have something you want to say?
No, no, I was just listening to you.
Mark said, do you
I
think
think,
it is easier to grieve those who are terminal versus those who die suddenly or in an unexpected way? I say yes.
that's a good
mm,
question.
Um,
that's a good
That's a good
question.
question.
yeah, because you have time to spend with the person that's terminal. And I say that because my mom had cancer, and that's how she passed away. And so that was why I started doing hospice after she passed away, because I gave her permission to leave. Um, but so it was easier to accept that because we had time, you know. But those that die suddenly, that, especially if it's a tragic death, those things are harder to accept, because that creates trauma, with those that are left behind, or that saw it, or, that experience. So
Mhm.
it is easier, when they're terminal, to accept it, but you still go through the denial. No, they're not experiencing this. No, they experience it, the person, and then the people that are around, experience those steps too. So, uh, Jean, before I ask her a question, you have anything else you want to ask her?
Uh, I don't think we touched on your personal bullying experiences.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to.
Personally, I, mean,
So,
I I have weaved several of them into this conversation. Hmm.
Well, you have,
Look.
yeah.
So you have, and that's been great. So, as a result of looking at the list of the different types of bullies, what were your thoughts when you were reading through those? And another question, most people, when I say something about bullying, they say two things, or they think, well, two things: physical bullying, which is, you know, the norm. That's the
Putting your
one
hands
that
on
people
somebody.
know about. Huh?
They're putting your hands on somebody.
Yeah. And then and the other thing is they say kids. So did you know there were so many different types of bullying besides physical?
No,
I
absolutely
didn't
not.
either. And this
Absolutely. not.
This is just bullying in general because workplace has their own. Yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
I just learned that last year.
Hmm.
So, so these are included in the workplace, but workplace has their own, like two-headed snake is
Pretty power.
one. Uh, yeah, they have,
Oh yeah,
and I haven't even brought those out yet.
it's funny.
So what were your thoughts when you started reading that list in comparison to what you already knew about bullying? How did you think? What were your thoughts?
I did not think there were so many categorizations of it,
Yeah,
but it also was kind of sobering as well because we compartmentalize things, and all of it's misbehavior, all
yeah,
of it is treatment, and it doesn't have to be exclusive to one place.
yeah,
You don't need to be doing it. You shouldn't
yeah.
be treating this. You should be treating people
Right.
this way. Like I'm
Right.
looking at the narcissist one, and I think I said this in our conversation that it's really challenging sometimes because we're so compassionate towards other people,
Yeah,
especially when you start to do your own wellness work and your level of awareness increases. You see people, and you can look
Mhm.
at why they have landed where they are, and
yeah,
so kind of like, oh, well, that's a result of 1, 2, 3, and they've been through 1, 2, 3, and so they
Right.
themselves from 5, 6, 7, and then you can figure out why people show up, in a certain way. So I looked at this list, and it made me feel compassion for so many people who have behavioral issues.
yeah,
Hmm.
People say, oh, the child need to go to this, the child need therapy. No, the adult in their life that taught them this stuff needs to go to therapy first, and they can work through something in their household, to get together.
yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah, like it's bullying. You picking on the
yeah,
child and making your kid go to
Yeah.
therapy. You ain't sat
yeah.
yourself in the seat. What are
You
Right.
we
say that.
scapegoating on
Ooh,
the
Yep.
child? I'm sorry.
no,
No,
you were just
please keep
fine
going.
because
Keep going. You
we
said a word
just
right there.
right, exactly.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
we
I
just
have.
started focusing on adult bullying for that very reason that you just said. When I say something about bullying, I hear, oh, that's them kids. No, what about you? What about
You
us adults?
pause.
We bullying each other. We got to recognize this is what we're doing. We got to deal with this trauma,
Yeah,
from our past that we never dealt with, kept pushing it under the rug. It's time to deal with this stuff. How can we teach these kids to stop bullying? How can we be examples for them of bullying if we're going to keep doing it? We didn't get
Right.
ourselves fixed. And we
mm,
got to do that first because we can tell the kids all day long, don't do this, don't do that. But we're doing it. So then they think, well, it must be okay. They're saying don't do it, but they're doing it. And
yeah.
we got to
Hmm.
get fixed. The adults have to get fixed in order to
Set the
help the
example.
kids get fixed.
Look,
It has to happen.
if you put it in Kenitra language, the adults need to go ahead and grow through their grief so they can heal. Then they can teach
Say
their
that.
kids.
There you go.
Yeah,
Get in the tools. Yep, exactly. Get in the tools.
We're a team here, okay? We're a team.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
this
I mean,
this list is. Yeah, I was
yeah.
surprised.
go ahead, Jean.
No, I
Say,
was gonna,
go ahead. It's time to
I
end the show.
was
Go ahead and then
gonna,
say what you want to say for to end the show, and then Kanitra, and then I will, and then we'll close out.
yeah, well, I just wanted to say, children are products of their environment.
Yep,
So they see uh, the adults have, exhibiting certain behaviors, then they're only going to mimic it because that's all that they know.
yeah,
So, like you said, if you're going through something and the child needs to see you work through your things. If they're in the same environment where it's toxic, then it's easier to go back to old habits that are negative and denigrating. So
yep,
yeah, like you said, the adults need to go to therapy first
yep,
and set the environment for healing for the child because they're
yes,
doing the work. Now they can
yep,
show this is how you do. This is step
right,
1, 2, 3, 1A, 1B. You know what I mean? So
yep,
on and so forth. That's all
yes.
I gotta say.
Spot on. Look. Yeah. That Yeah, that's good. I guess it's my turn and I'll just lean into it. This has been an amazing dialogue, and I am glad that at the heart of it, we got the same mission.
Yeah.
People need to
Yeah.
heal. Before you can heal, you have to acknowledge what the problem is. Bullying
Right.
is a
Yes.
manifestation of some type of unhealed wound or trauma
Yes.
Yes.
for actual life.
Yes.
And my mission is to help you identify that bad boy and grow through it so you can
Yeah.
build
There you
something that
go.
helps people heal and not harm.
Right.
There
And I
you go.
say every time that I go live, I always end and I say life can be hard and your journey can hurt, but commit to heal so your story can help. So I
Yeah.
have enjoyed y'all so much. You made me sit with some things in my own life, in my own experiences, and I have more language around those things because of what you guys are doing. So thank you for that. For those of y'all who want to connect with me,
Thank you.
come on over to YouTube. Just put in Grace for this. We're growing through grief. We're archiving our healing journey, and we're building what helped us heal, and we're ready to help you heal too.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. This has been
Yeah.
so
Thank you for
good.
coming. This
And
was
I knew it was
amazing.
going to be. Kenitra, thank you for joining our show. Thank you for sharing, all that you've shared. And I didn't realize how much grief and bullying connected until this
Mhm.
conversation. So my way of thinking about this was not the way that this has gone. So now I have a different direction, for us to go in, as an organization, Love Misunderstood Institute, you know, um, adding, the letting people know, grief is a part of, why you may
Healing.
be bullying somebody else. What have you been experiencing? I mean, there's so much that I can't even put it all in words. I just want to say thank you for, for joining us. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your business. And thank you for sharing your ministry and what God is doing in you and what God has done in you and how He has helped you to help other people.
Thank you.
So we are going to close out now. This has been amazing. Uh, so we look forward to seeing you on our show if you're watching, or if you're watching the replay next Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Love Misunderstood Institute YouTube channel and Premier Fitness 0210. So we send you away with love. We send you away with peace. And we say joy, joy, joy. We send you joy, peace, and love. Take care. Bye for now. Stay for the video. And Kenitra, we'll see you back in the room. Mark, we're ready.
Heard the news today, the police took another life. Gunshots rang out, even though he had his hands held high. Yo, I'm sick and tired to walk my brother's short lines. Need to come together, set a plan, and then mobilize. Oh, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do about all the hell that we're going through? Now stand up, shout out into the walls of Babel on your feet. Stand up, come on y'all, and let's make some history. Stand up, rise up and know you ain't gotta follow, you can lead. Stand up y'all, we can do this, you and me. Monsanto monopolized the whole grocery line. So we all gon' have 12 toes, 3 thumbs, 3 lives. If we keep being sheep, these wolves are gon' rob us blind. Let's occupy our mind space, cause the revolution won't be televised. Oh, what are we gon' do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do about into the walls of Babel on the feet. Stand up, y'all. We can do this, you and me. Stand up, rise up and know you ain't gotta follow. You can lead. Stand up, y'all. We can do this, you and me. Oh, mercy, mercy me. The government should nurture all that when will all these wars be done? Hopefully before another moment has the money. Yeah. Before another mother has the money person. Shout out into the walls of Babel on the feet. Stand up, come on y'all. Let's make some history. Stand up, rise up, you know you ain't gotta follow. You can lead. Stand up, y'all. We can